Guys, you know what's more shocking than Norm maybe dying? Shockingly, his son subscribed to my channel. I know, Kyle was shocked too, as Fallout has always thrived on this exact collision of absurdity and tragedy. It lures you in with dark humor, then quietly asks you to stare at the bones beneath the joke. On today's episode, we're doing exactly that. We're unpacking Norm's apparent death, the ominous shadow of future Enterprise ventures, or as Fallout fans know it, the forced evolutionary virus. And why none of it makes sense unless we first understand one place: Vault 4. Vault 4 is not just another Vault-Tec horror story. It is one of the most philosophical, important locations in the Fallout television canon because it exposes the central lie behind Vault-Tec, behind FEV, and behind every so-called solution to humanity's flaws. Vault 4 asks brutal questions. What happens when science is freed from ethics and handed absolute power? And more importantly, it offers an answer Vault-Tec never expected. To understand Norm, to understand FEV, and to understand why Fallout keeps returning to the idea of forced evolution, we have to descend beneath Hawthorne Medical Laborations and confront the failed experiment that accidentally built a real human. Society. Beneath the ruins of Hawthorne's Medical Laboratories in Los Angeles, California, lies one of Vault-Tec's most disturbing and most ironic experiments. Vault 4, unlike many vaults whose true purpose were hidden behind patriotic slogans and smiling mascots, Vault 4 was almost honest. Almost. Before the Great War, Vault 4 was presented to the American public as a model vault, a proof of concept meant to reassure citizens that survival underground was not only possible, but comfortable. This was not a vault hidden in the desert or buried beneath a mountain. It was showcased, advertised, and toured. And yet, from the very beginning, something was wrong. Our first glimpse of Vault 4 comes before the bombs fell in 2077 through a Vault-Tec commercial starring Cooper Howard, a famous Hollywood actor and future ghoul. Unlike other Vault advertisements, carefully staged, brightly lit fantasies, this one is unsettling transparent. Cooper Howard isn't walking through a mock-up or a soundstage. He's walking through the actual Vault 4. The commercial proudly displays sterile hallways, clean living quarters, and advanced medical facilities. But then it does something no Vault-Tec ad should ever do. It tells the truth. Vault 4 would not be governed by founders, elections, or community leaders. It would be ruled entirely by scientists, specialists dedicated to studying the effects of radiation on human DNA. Above one of the doors hangs a sign that reads plainly, "Test subjects." No euphemisms, no patriotic framing, just the truth. In hindsight, it feels like a warning. At the time, it was marketed as progress. The Vault was populated before the Great War by scientists themselves. Among them were Lloyd and Cassandra Hawthorne, prominent researchers in radiation genetics, who moved into the Vault with their 2 children. Alongside them came 80 volunteers, men and women who believed they were participating in a 5-year trial designed to prove that human society could survive underground. What they did not understand was that they were never meant to be citizens. They were test subjects. When the bomb fell and Vault 4 sealed its doors, Lloyd Hawthorne assumed the role of overseer. The world above burned. The world below began something far worse. Unlike the Vault secretly handed off to the outside corporations or folded into Bud Askin's Vault to run the 33 management experiments, which you can check out in the video right here, or up there. Vault 4 was run directly by Vault-Tec itself. It existed alongside other vaults as part of a sprawling network of parallel experiments, each testing a different model of post-apocalyptic civilization. Vault 4 hypothesis was deceptively simple. Could society ruled entirely by scientists, free from ethics, committees, governments, and moral oversight, engineer a better future for humanity? The scientists abandoned the concept of consent almost immediately. Hawthorne Medical Laboratories became a trap. Survivors, wounded, starving, desperate, were lured in with promises of medical aid. Science guided them down clean hallways toward a door labeled medical supplies. Behind the door was no exit. Gas filled the room, victims collapsed, hidden chutes opened beneath their feet, dropping them into Vault 4's intake rooms. Lucy McLean and Maximus would later fall into Intake Room 7, also known as Test Subject Room 604, the same room seen in Cooper Howard's pre-war commercial. The symmetry is no accident. Fallout rarely does anything by accident. I swear. Once inside, the victims were cataloged, restrained, and experimented on. The goal was not merely to observe radiation effects, but to direct them. This was early forced evolutionary virus ideology in all but name. FEV at its core is not about improvement, it's about control. Vault 4 scientists attempted to hybridize humans with radiation-resistant species, recording everything on video. They weren't trying to cure radiation sickness, they were trying to override humanity itself. Some mutations were minor, cosmetic changes, bioluminescence, altered sensory organs. Others were catastrophic. One recording shows a woman giving birth to a school of mutated creatures later known as Gulpers, who immediately turned on her and devoured her alive. Other females already pregnant with these hybrids were cryogenically frozen when termination proved impossible. These were no accidents, they were acceptable losses. The West Coast Gulper, unlike the East Coast counterparts, is larger, paler, disturbingly humanoid. Human finger lines its mouth like a parody of teeth. A grotesque reminder that evolution here was not natural. Vault 4 was their birthplace. This is where Fallout's thesis became clear. Forced evolution does not create something better, it creates something broken. Eventually, the scientists ran out of willing volunteers. Then the unwilling ones began to fight back. The test subjects rebelled. In Overseer Lloyd Hawthorne's final log, he remains unapologetic. Even at his vault's collapse, he insists that hybridization still holds promise. He argues that a society governed by scientists is still the ideal structure for humanity's future. This is the most honest moment in Vault 4's history. Hawthorne does not see himself as a villain, he sees himself as correct. Moments later, the Gulpers break through the barricade. Lloyd and Cassandra Hawthorne are eaten alive, along with the rest of the scientific staff. The experiment ends not with enlightenment, but with teeth. But Vault 4 does not die. With the scientists gone, the surviving test subjects take control of the vault, and instead of continuing the cycle of cruelty inflicted upon them, they do something Vault-Tec never predicted. They stop. The experiments end permanently. A democratic society is established, one dedicated not to progress at any cost, but to prevent. Any victims who cannot be cured are placed into stasis pods on level 12, not discarded, not dissected, but preserved with care in the hope that a cure might one day exist. This is the moment Vault 4 becomes something revolutionary. Not perfect, human. Over time, the survivors discover that the damage done to them is hereditary. Their children are born with random mutations, extra noses, glowing eyes, bioluminescence, animalistic traits. Future Overseer Benjamin is born with a single eye, and yet their intelligence remains intact. Their empathy remains intact. Vault 4 endures not because it is strong, but because it is kind. This philosophy is tested after the destruction of Shady Sands. Refugees fleeing the blast, injured, starving, traumatized, find their way into Vault 4 through the same trap once used to capture victims. This time, the traps leads to salvation. The refugees bring with them NCR history lessons, survival skills, and intense religious rituals designed to cope with loss. Led by Birdie, these ceremonies involve nudity, ashes, blood, and prayer to Lee Moldaver, the so-called Flame Mother. Though strange and uncomfortable, the rituals are tolerated. Two cultures choose coexisting over conflict. Vault 4 does not demand assimilation. It offers shelter. And in 2296, Lucy McLean and Maximus enter Hawthorne's medical laboratory searching for medical supplies. Like countless others before them, they fall through the trapdoor. Lucy is relieved. Maximus is suspicious. Lucy's trust shatters when she discovers level 12. Seeing the cryopods and experiment tapes, she assumes that the current residents are responsible. Only later does the overseer, Benjamin and Birdie, reveal the truth. Lucy is sentenced not to death, but banishment, a symbolic execution meant to protect Vault 4's fragile peace. Maximus, believing Lucy, steals the fusion core to save her and putting back on his suit, thinking that he's the hero of the story, but he's not. But then Lucy convinces him to turn it eventually. And then they decide to just leave the vault because they know they really screwed up with them. How does forced evolution virus and Norm fit into all of this? Well, Vault 4 establishes that mutation is capable. So what if Norm, as a mutant human, what if he can, die and then get revived? I mean, that's what I think, I think they're gonna, revive him somehow, because he's a mutant secretly with the, Vec. The Vec virus, forced evolutionary virus. So, Vev virus, even though that's redundant to say virus and virus, you get the picture. And so, it would make sense, because, why would you kill off, an underdog character? That just sounds weird to kill off. I mean, it would make the stakes really high, but, it just feels redundant to do that. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I think. I don't know, what do you think in the comments down below? Comment whatever you think. And yeah, so if you wanna watch me solve the trifecta faults, fault 31 to 33, you can click that up here, or you can solve me solve the entire FNAF lore right here. You decide, you choose. Yeah, have a good day. See you. Adios.